what are some thoughts do you have for a student starting out who might be sort of daunted by that prospect? And they're building some foundation skills. They kind of know what's needed at the end of the day, but they know they've got a way to go.
Andy, why don't you take that one and start?
I'm coming at it from the academic side now. So, so what I try to do is I try to get a strategy for how to order things, and I talk to my students about how it's a narrative, how you have to, you have a big opening. It's like a movie. You have to have that big opening, that teaser, and then it's sort of then you don't. It can't always be at the same level. It's like music, really. It's you have
Mhm.
modulation. So you walking through a book, you have a big opening, ta-da! Sound of Music on the hill, and then it goes down into a little bit less, and then toward the middle it peaks sort of in the middle. A few things like this, and then it comes back down a little bit. Then at the end, ba-bam, again. I don't know if that's very articulate, but the idea is that it should have some modulation. Then not everything has to be the biggest thing in the world or the best, but they do show different aspects of your vision of what you can bring to the table. And
Mhm.
when you're choosing things, it's always movable. The portfolio is a living document. It's never going to be the same day in and day out. So you have a favorite for one client. This goes back to who's looking at it. And you open up big, settle in a little bit, think of it as a music, as a song or as a story.
To have variety, have storytelling, make it go somewhere. Don't have the same color, font, composition style for your 8 pieces or 10 pieces. Um, Ideally, different kinds of clients so that you would, or different subjects, depending on what field it is, so that you're not just drawing or making one kind of thing, unless it's really excellent, I guess. You know. Um, what about you, Gardner? What some tips would you'd have for a student who's just starting a program and like they're thinking, how do I build 10 or 15 great pieces?
Well, I think it's an overwhelming thing to think about when you're starting, but you have to understand that, first of all, there's no particular size that a portfolio has to be, right? So you basically just want to make your best work little by little and not getting overwhelmed. But once you have compiled some work, you're always going back through and figuring out, is this worthy of being in the portfolio? And once you do put together your book, like Andy said, at the beginning, you want some very strong pieces, and then you want some strong ones in the middle, and you definitely have to have some strong ones in the end. But someone might not even get to the end, right? Because if the work's not there. So start strong, finish strong. But if you don't have enough work that you feel strongly enough, then have a smaller portfolio. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just that way that the employer can see, well, they don't have a lot of breadth of work. Obviously, they're a student, right? I'm not expecting to see this amazing finished huge portfolio. What I want to see is I want to see great thinking. I want to see great ideas. I want to see well designed, and I want to see some storytelling. I want to know a little bit about that person by looking at the designs I'm looking at. And I want I want to come away from that thinking, wow, you know what? That was really cool what they did. I love that work. I'm calling them up. There's got to be something that hits me over the head. It's like, that's not professional work, but that's so smart that they did that. I love the thinking. And
Hmm.
you have to also, I would say one other thing, and Andy and I have talked about this. Now, what we do, graphic design, a lot of it's done on the computer. Everyone's using fonts. I love hand done things. So remember that some of the strongest work comes from a hand done logo or a splattering of paint that you've done on your own that you scanned in. And I mean, you got to think outside the computer. The computer is just a tool to use to put together the work, but
Hmm.
not all the work needs to come from the computer. I love work that's done by the hand.
Yeah.
So you get on a pencil and you make a logo with just black and white pencil and you scan it in, take a photo of it. You just have to think outside of the normal streams. I mean, so just be bold. Um, I'm going to say something. Someone one time brought in a portfolio and he had a business card they had in the portfolio, and it said the guy's name, and then he had a little slogan that said, "Whatever the f you want." But he said the word, spelled out the word. When I saw that, I was like, I'm calling him right away. I can't wait to work with this guy.
No way.
Um, I ended up hiring him and I worked with him for a while, but, so that's why I would say you just have to do something to stand out from the clutter, right? What can you
Yeah.
do to make sure you stand out in a good way or bold way, whatever it is?